Hey, I'm Sam, formerly known as Maya, and there's Roxanne, still in bed, where I should be, really. It's very early, and I'm still drinking coffee. So, this might be a bit intense, because this is my second cup. And I won't start this video with the usual declaration about how difficult it's been. Corinna and I joked in the last video that I seem to say that at the beginning of many of my videos, but the truth is they are difficult, and they do take me multiple attempts. I'm not just sitting here deciding that I have something I want to say and having a plan about it, and I'm sharing an unfolding journey of emergence. Emergence into reality after decades of dealing with trauma and hiding, basically. So the process of sharing that journey is a transformation. It's catharsis. So each video changes me. So it does take multiple attempts to say what it is I want to say, because it's spontaneous, and it's also it's a revelation. So I can start a video talking about something and end up talking about something completely different, and then I have to try and understand what it is I've said. So it does take time, and it's to be honest, it takes too much time. And so periodically I try and retreat and just walk away. But I get emails from people, and I know it means something to them. And I have more and more people. Still not many, but I do have people contacting me and wanting to speak to me, which is very humbling, and I consider that a privilege. And I treat that with great sense of seriousness. So the process isn't over yet, but I really am getting to a point now, after doing this since late 2020, I think it was. I am getting to a point of profound change, actually, and stability. And I think that it will just naturally change. How I do this will naturally change, but at the moment it is what it is. So I'm going to talk a bit about. Oh, first of all, I want to share something, because I'm reading. Oh, I haven't got the book here. I am rereading Julian of Norwich, Revelations of Divine Love, and I've been listening to audiobooks lately and looking at the Christian mystic writings of the medieval period. And a word that comes up a lot in English, Middle English, is soothness, and sooth, as in forsooth. And it's quite interesting to look at the language that's used and how it's used, and it's it's a real education. So soothness means truth, justice, righteousness, rectitude, reality, and conformity. And I thought about that and why I was so drawn to that word, and I think it goes beyond truth. And so for me, having lived a life of avoidance of reality and avoidance of the pain I carried, I feel very drawn towards living as truthfully as I can. And it's not easy when you've got a lot of things that you've locked away because you didn't want to feel them, or didn't want to remember them, or didn't want to accept them. So But there is the journey towards truth or soothness means traveling through everything that you didn't want to accept and feel, and so it does take time, and it is. I think if it happens too quickly, it's catastrophic. So it must be done gradually. So that's why it's, over the course of all my videos, I'm working gradually working through feelings and emotions and memories, and it is painful, it is difficult. But, I think we're so busy in our lives, and we just get on with it. People don't want to feel anything that's upsetting. They just want to feel the good stuff. They just want to just feel the positive, and so we just lock away stuff that we can't deal with, and it just ends up filling us up, and we're internally fragmented and partitioned with all this stuff hidden behind this wall of, it's not really there, and then you end up being partially present. And that's what happened to me, because I was really badly wounded when I was 1, and experienced a lot of dysfunction when I was a kid. So I was never really here. From even before I can remember, I was never really here because it was too painful. So that's why this has taken some time. Thinking back on a lot of what I've talked about in older videos is this need after I transitioned to be seen, and as a strategy to be seen, it was very successful. And I think I just remember just being so isolated when I was a child, so alone, and it's like to be seen, to be acknowledged, to have your presence acknowledged. It kind of brings you into reality. And if you're not seen, it's like you're almost not there. And it's the worst thing you can do to a child is ignore it. And, it's a corrosive, damaging thing. So to be seen, it's like, for me, when I was a kid, and an adult after I transitioned, it's like to be seen, like, okay, I must be here, I must be real, I must actually be real. If you can see me, then I must be here, and not just this insignificant, annoying, unworthy kid. So, processing all of that, forgiving as well. Forgiveness is just absolutely vital. Otherwise, the bullies are still bullying you, but you're doing it for them. The voice of cruelty becomes the voice of cruelty that we speak to ourselves with, and we're just doing their work for them. So with forgiveness, it's taking back control. It's asserting your ability to make a decision for yourself, to not feel what it is you're feeling, to let it all go. And so it's a vital part of the whole process of healing is forgiveness. So I'm going to talk about what happened in the last 48 hours because it's been really, really intense. I went to a social thing on... Hold on, more coffee. 1 second. Oh, God. I absolutely love coffee. So I went to a social thing, a friend's birthday, on Saturday, I think. And, there's a few people that I've told in the village that I've changed my name. And I'm realising how disruptive it is, really. Everybody's only ever known me as Maya. And, I look how I look. Even though I've got shorter hair now, I still look like a woman, and I'm always going to look like this. And for me to start saying to people... I spoke to a friend, actually, who's a retired psychotherapist who lives down the shore of the loch, quite near here. And I said to them yesterday, this is what I'm doing. And she said, yeah, it's really disruptive. And it is. And I'm finding that out because if I tell people to call me he, if I say, yeah, I'm a man now, you can call me he. Like this guy just a few doors down, every time he sees me, he says, hey, honey, how you doing? What am I supposed to do? Say, no, I'm actually a man again now. It just doesn't make any sense. They're just going to think I'm mental. They know what I am, of course they do. But, for me to sort of look like a woman and be called he is even more strange than to be referred to in the feminine. So, I think, I just wanted it to be known that nobody needs to collude in some kind of delusion for me. And they are, they don't need to walk on eggshells and think I'm some crazy person that thinks I'm a woman. I think that's more important than anything else, for them to not feel that, that I'm actually crazy and they need to support me in that craziness. So we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, so I went to this party, and I haven't been to a social gathering for 5 or 6 years. For about 5 or 6 years. Not since I was living on the island. And it was different there. So, I'm very understated in how I present anyway. As you can see, it's always usually a grey t-shirt and army surplus and, jeans. Very simple. But I had to kind of make a little bit of an effort. So I wore this, feminine sort of floaty tunicky top, and a pair of, tight jeans, skinny jeans, and a pair of nice sandals, because it was a really hot evening. So, and it felt nice to dress up and make an effort. Still understated, but it just, it's very different to how I normally present. And it's really difficult for me in social situations because I can't raise my voice. I can't be heard because my vocal cords are damaged. So my voice is very, very quiet and it's difficult to talk. So I couldn't really participate in, what was going on. There's a room full of like 40, 50 people all talking. And so I just, sat there just watching. And I felt very isolated anyway. But possibly because of the unfamiliar social situation and my presentation being very different to how I normally look, I became acutely aware of the nature of, I was wearing a costume in a way. And, the nature of this journey that I'm sharing is feeling. It's feeling what couldn't be felt before because I wasn't able to feel it. And so just that simple observation of acknowledging that I was wearing a costume, I unlocked something, and I had this upwelling of raw emotion and this feeling of deep, deep loss and hollowness. Like I was empty, completely empty, not in a good way either. And so I had to leave, and I just walked outside, and I just started walking down the road to the cottage I'm renting with my mum. And I just started sobbing, and I just walked down the road covering my face and just sobbing, and I just didn't even know why. And I thought about it and slept on it, and then the next morning I just realised I've always been wearing a costume. Always been wearing some kind of costume. Many of us are, and I don't just mean, our clothing. I mean the ideas of who we think we are, the performance and the persona that is, the face that we show the world. And is it even real? So, that's what I realised. I'd been wearing a costume ever since I was a child. And, transition was just, creating a costume that I can't remove. And it's almost like, when I talk about yeah, it works for me. I don't regret it, and I've often wondered whether that's just me still not able to acknowledge that I cannot afford not to feel that yeah, it was a success, and I'm okay with it. Because it is a costume of a sort. And, that wretched, sort of terribly, traumatized little boy that I was, began wearing costumes from a very young age. I don't just mean dressing as a girl, I mean identity. And to live on the surface of being and say, this is me, see this, is a terribly hollow, brittle way to live. And because you're creating something that you want people to see, because who you really are, and that part of us that we protect, we feel is not enough to be seen. So we say, see this. And it just creates a feeling of inner desolation because you're never seen, not really. And perhaps that came, I've always known this, what I've just described, but knowing something and really feeling it in a deep, deep way, the sorrow around those feelings, that's another matter altogether. But we have to feel it before we can let it go. We have to feel it all before it loses its power. Otherwise it sits within us, unacknowledged. And that's what I'm sharing. So, I think, because of the trauma I experienced from a very young age, I was very disassociated from my body. And it was almost like I hated my body as well, because it was such a painful place to be. And, I've modified my body all my life. I mean, I'm covered in tattoos, and it's just this kind of, even if you're just decorating yourself, in a way you're it's not honoring your being, it's not respecting yourself, it's saying, no, I need to be more than what I am, and see this, don't see me, see this. So I think I was so disassociated from my body, I just started to hate myself because it was such a painful place to be. So I just started to hurt myself and treat myself appallingly because my body didn't seem to be me. And that's why it was so easy to to add bits and to remove bits and just slice and dice this beautiful creation that's a gift from God and desecrate the temple of my being, because I think that's what it is. So acknowledging that is a painful process. It's a painful process, because if we truly loved ourselves, if our life is a gift given in love, we are made in love. And so if someone gives you a gift of unimaginable richness and beauty, do you hang tinsel on it? Do you take a knife to it? It's just wrong. But I think, that's what people do, and I'm not beating myself up about this, because I know, the more I learn about, the more my spiritual belief deepens, the more I understand that being in the world has certain qualities and pitfalls that are unavoidable, and one of them is suffering, and one of them is temptation. the temptation to avoid our fear and live in our desires. And so it's a difficult thing to be a human being. We're very complex, and that complexity can be very dark at times. So I'm actually emerging into a feeling of detachment, but not in the negative way that I experienced detachment as a child. A tender, caring detachment that I am a soul incarnate, and my body is a gift, and to love that gift and to care for that gift and not treat it like shit. So that's what I mean by detachment, is that, this is something that I'm charged with caring for, and it's my, it's part of me, but not all of me. So, I treat myself with a bit of kindness nowadays. But, it's an ongoing process of feeling everything that has been locked away for so long. And what's really difficult is I realised this yesterday when I was trying to make this video, that the catharsis happens so quickly, and it's so much more gentle now. But it's difficult for me to leave up older videos, and I cringe sometimes, even when I look at something I said 2 weeks ago, and I can see how much I've moved on, and also the pain of looking at myself in my holding on to delusion, holding on to that self-protection, and saying things with great emphasis, like I have no regrets and it works for me and all that. What choice do I have? I thought I had no choice but just to ignore the difficult question that maybe it wasn't the right thing to do, and just say, well, it was the best decision I could make at the time, and it's worked for me. Yeah, it's worked for me on one level, because I've made it work, but I've made it work by not feeling all the things that would upset that statement. It worked because I had to make it work. I had a dream last night, a really disturbing dream actually. I was in a room full of people, a room full of men, and we all had these gowns on, like surgical gowns. And we had these strips of skin covering this scar down the centre of our body and over our genitals. And none of us had any genitals, and there was just this strip of skin that had been grafted on. And I was crying in this dream, just crying and crying and crying. So it's a long process, but until we feel everything that we don't want to feel, we can't actually be fully present, because to be present means feeling pain as well as joy. And if we only want to feel joy, then it's just half the story. So, I'm going to end on a little bit of, so this observation I made, when people in the local community are still calling me she and honey, and which is lovely. I don't mind it. Detransition. What is detransition? It's an acknowledgement of reality. I've had a few conversations with Tulip. I'm sure everyone's heard of Tulip R. And they've been very interesting conversations, and about detransition. And there is no template. There is no template. And we must live with our choice, but as honestly as possible. And it's a very complex situation, because even if you acknowledge reality, you still have to manage the unreality of what you've done. So navigating a path through that situation and managing it day by day is an individual thing, because there is no template, there's no fixed way of doing this. So each of us is going to do it in our own way. And for some people, I'm sure people have seen shapeshifters videos as well. So for them, it means remaining as they am, as they are. And for me, it's probably going to be that as well. Apart from getting my breast implants taken out. So it's a very strange way to be, because acknowledging reality whilst still embodying an unreality is dissonant. So it's very complicated, and I think we've painted ourselves into a difficult situation culturally, or we've been steered purposefully into this situation. So it's so disruptive, as I'm finding out. It's disruptive. It's more disruptive to detransition for people that have already accepted me. It's disruptive for them. And it's such a strange thing, because when you transition, it's like a lot of your energy is spent, or it was in my day when it wasn't such a thing. A lot of my energy went on, I think probably 50% of the energy I expended on emotional well-being going through the process was spent caring for other people and bringing them with me, because they were so confused about the whole thing, because it wasn't so common in those days. So spending time trying to help other people understand and to come with me on this journey, it took a lot of energy. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to concentrate on other people's feelings and bringing them with me on this journey of detransition, because it's even more confusing than actually the first time in the process of transition. So I'm just going to leave it. It's too disruptive. So I'll change my name, and I'm telling people gradually my name is now Sam, and that feels good. It's just a new season of my life beginning, and I think there's nothing wrong with choosing a new name. But I don't know. If people ask me, I will tell them how I'm feeling and what I'm doing, but I'm not going to make a concerted effort to, make a point of the whole thing. So I'm going to finish. For those 10% of people that have actually stayed this long, it's shocking how few people stay to the end of each video. Shocking. Like 14% or something like that is the average, 14 to 20%. No doubt I have a very particular niche that I'm talking to. So this is Julian of Norwich, Christian mystic. Faith is naught else but a right understanding with true belief and sure trust of our being that we are in God and God is in us. Faith is naught else but a right understanding with true belief and sure trust of our being that we are in God and God is in us. So her writing is beautiful and simple. That our soul is made in God. The substance of our being is made in love, is made in God. And we are incarnate, and our soul is where God dwells. So with that understanding, it's just I feel I have nothing else I can do but ask for forgiveness from God for mutilating the gift of my being. That's how I feel. And I have asked for forgiveness. Okay, I'll leave it there. I'm going to have another cup of coffee now. So, okay, take care. See you soon. Bye.